Hey guys, it's Jessica. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be previewing all of the fantasy, science fiction, and horror books coming out in November and December 2025. This month we are going to be doing November and December releases at the same time because there are just not that many books that come out in December and less in November than there have been the past few months. So we're going to put it all together. Once again, these are not all the books coming out in the next 2 months. These are the books that I'm either planning to read or I think sound really good and I would love for you all to know about. I have divided them into genres. So today we do have fantasy, science fiction, and then a little horror. We are going to start with fantasy, and the first book I have for you is The King Must Die by Kemi Ashing-Giwa. This is coming out on November 4th, and it's being published by Harper Voyager. I have seen this book described as a book that is a blend of fantasy and science fiction, which is something that I always really enjoy. And it is the story of a character who lives on a planet that was terraformed that is now dying. The main character, her name is Fen, and she has worked as a mercenary bodyguard her entire life, and now she finds herself searching for some revolutionaries and on a quest for, we can see what the title says, the king who must die. And I think it looks really interesting, really fascinating. Haven't read anything from this author. I do know that she has several books that are pretty critically acclaimed, and I am excited to check this one out. I don't know if I'm going to read it in November. It's going to kind of depend on what my schedule looks like, but I do think it looks very promising, and I wanted to feature it right up here up front. The next book I have also coming out on November 4th is The Nameless Land by Kate Elliott. This is the sequel to The Witch Roads, which came out earlier this year. They are part of a duology, so this will complete the series. And I read The Witch Roads right when it came out, and I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was a fantastic story about a world where we have kind of frightening things that live on the edges of the roads, but the roads themselves, the witch roads, are something you can travel on, and as long as you don't stray from the road, you will be fine. This is a road story. This is a group of characters who are traveling to find out something that has gone wrong within their kingdom. There is a romance, there are ancient magics, there are ancient creatures. I don't want to spoil anything about it for you. If you haven't read the first book, again, it was a 5-star read for me. It was a real surprise. I would say this is a pretty traditional feeling fantasy in some ways that also has some really interesting new ideas. So if what I've said sounds good to you, I would go ahead and pick up The Witch Roads. And if you've already read it, do be aware that The Nameless Land is coming out already in November, and I am so excited to read it. And I'm going to just briefly mention another sequel coming out the same day. This is The Blackfire Blade by James Logan. This is the sequel to The Silver Blood Promise, a book which I have actually not read. So I cannot speak too much to its quality, but I hear so many good things about it. If you have read the first book in this series and you would recommend it to me, I would love if you would let me know, or just let me know your thoughts on it in general, because it's not one that I have picked up since it came out. But now that the sequel's coming out, I obviously am feeling the maybe I should get caught up on this series too feeling. So let me know. Then we have another sequel coming out to a series, and this is Brigands and Breadknives by Travis Baldree. So this is the 3rd book in the Legends and Lattes series, and I believe that it follows a main character from the prequel book, Bookshops and Bone Dust. I don't know if that's a little bit confusing. It feels a little bit confusing to me, but I'm sure it's going to be more cozy and adorable and sweet fantasy for fans of this series. I personally liked Legends and Lattes, but didn't love it enough to have continued on yet, but at some point I am planning to. So for those of you that are fans of this series, I know you are going to just love this new volume. And then also coming out on the 11th, this book is actually already out in the UK, and that is Daughter of the Otherworld by Shauna Lawless. I have a copy of it right here. This is the 2nd trilogy in the Gale Song series. So Gale Song is a series of books that follow kind of these mythological beings who are living in real Irish history. So it's a historical book, definitely historical fiction, but also a fantasy and very epic. And I just thought it was fantastic. It is a 5-star series for me. All 3 books in that first trilogy were 5 stars. I haven't gotten around to reading this one just yet. I just got it. And I am so excited to read this one, and it will be out in the US at the beginning of November. I think the ebook might already be available as I am filming this, so you can go ahead and read it that way if you would like. But I am so excited for this one, which is following a new generation of characters set in the same world, in the same timeline. Now we are going to move on to science fiction, and the first book I have for you is coming out on November the 11th. And it is God's Junk Drawer by Peter Clines, being published by Del Rey. And I am so fascinated by this book. I am most definitely going to be reading it. And it's because, I don't know if the author himself says this, but the description makes it very clear that this is a science fiction book that is highly, highly inspired by the television show The Land of the Lost. And if you are my age or older, probably, maybe younger than me, I'm not really sure. I know there was more than one Land of the Lost series, and I was too young to watch the older one. But I definitely remember on Saturday mornings watching The Land of the Lost. I could probably sing you the song right now. And I loved it, about people who wind up in this mysterious place where there are dinosaurs. So let me read you a little bit of the description of this one. 40 years ago, the Gather family, James, his daughter Beau, and his son Billy, vanished during a whitewater rafting trip and were presumed dead. 5 years later, Billy reappeared on the far side of the world, telling an impossible tale of a primordial valley populated by dinosaurs, aliens, Neanderthals, and androids. Now a group of graduate astronomy students follow their professor, Noah Barnes, up a mountain for what they believe is a simple stargazing trip, but they're about to travel a lot further than they planned. And that's enough for me. I have read a couple of Peter Clines novels in the past. He is kind of one of the masters of the science fiction genre anyway, and I think this sounds so interesting and good, and I'm definitely going to be reading it. So look here for a review of that after it comes out. And then next I have The Merge by Grace Walker, which I think has a really interesting looking cover. And this one is a literary science fiction, something I always enjoy. And it is about the idea that in some mysterious future, people can merge their minds. Let me explain a little bit. Laurie is 65 and living with Alzheimer's. Her daughter, Amelia, a once fiery and strong-willed activist, can't bear to see her mother's mind fade. Faced with the reality of losing her forever, she signs up for them to take part in the world's first experimental merging process for Alzheimer's patients, in which Laurie's ailing mind will be transferred into Amelia's healthy body, and their consciousness will be blended as one. And then there's a lot of other people who seem like they're also going to be merging their minds. So it looks like it's going to be about identity and memory and consciousness and all of those bigger science fiction ideas, while also, I think, dealing with a lot of human emotion. So I think that sounds really interesting and something that might be a little bit of a smaller story and very, very enjoyable. So I'm looking forward to that. And then on November 18th, we have Outlaw Planet by M.R. Carey. M.R. Carey is a science fiction writer who seems to write in a lot of different parts of the genre, and this one is a space western. This is the story of Bess. It's the story of the gun she carried, whose name was Wakeful Slim. It's the story of the dead man who carried that gun before her and left a piece of himself inside it. And it's the tale of how she turned from teacher to renegade and ultimately to hero. It's also the tale of the last violent engagements in an interdimensional war, one of the most brutal that the multiverse had ever seen. So we've got a multiverse. We've got female space cowboys. It sounds good. I have struggled a little bit sometimes with M.R. Carey's writing, but I do think this sounds interesting. So I will definitely be checking out the sample chapters of this when they are released and seeing if it's something I might like to read. But I know a lot of you all are big fans of M.R. Carey, and I think this one looks really good. And then we have my most anticipated science fiction release of the month, that is Slow Gods by Claire North. This is being published by Orbit. It's coming out on the 18th of November. The comp titles for this one are A Memory Called Empire and The Vanished Birds, both of which are very literary and very interesting science fiction books that really make you think. And I love them, and I am excited to check out this book, which I will read just like this tiny little bit here. Part of the copy, which is the main character talking about the book. I am a very poor copy of myself. In telling my story, there are certain things I should perhaps lie about. I should make myself a hero, pretend I was not used by strangers and gods, did not leave people behind. Here is one truth. Out there in deep space, in the pilot's chair, I died. And then I was reborn. I became something not quite human, something that could speak to the infinite dark. And I vowed to become the scourge of the world that wronged me. This is the story of the supernova event that burned planets and felled civilizations. This is also the story of the many lives I've lived since I died for the first time. Are you listening? Okay, so that sounds so good to me. This one is most definitely on my November TBR. I've already decided, and I am so excited to read it. It looks so good. This will be my first book by this author, but I have heard amazing things about her writing, and I think it looks really good. Then we are going to move on to horror, and I have 2 books for you, both of which are, I think, skirting the line of some other genre with horror, but I feel like horror was very front-loaded into October, so we don't have a lot of new releases. And the first one I have for you is actually going to be a traditional publishing version of a book that was originally self-published, and that is There Is No Antimemetics Division. And I don't know a lot about this book. People who have read it describe it as extremely mind-bending and extremely strange in a way that really, really appeals to me. I am very excited to read it when it comes out. It's being published by Tor Nightfire, which is their horror division, but I've also seen people definitely classify this as science fiction, so I think it kind of spans the line there. Humanity is under assault by malevolent anti-memes, ideas that attack memory, identity, and the fabric of reality itself. They're all around us, hiding in plain sight. One could be in the room with you now, just to your left. You could be seeing it right now, but from this second to the next, you'll forget that you did. If you managed to jot down a note, the paper would look blank to you afterwards. These entities feed on your most cherished memories, the things that make you you, and you'll never even know anything changed. Which is like such a creepy idea. I saw someone online comparing this to, I can't remember the Doctor Who episode, the new Doctor Who episode that is this idea, but yes, it has that feeling, very creepy feeling. And I am so excited to read this one. Definitely going to be on my list in the next few months. Then I have one more horror book, which is coming out on December 1st, and that is Snakeeater by T. Kingfisher. I know it's like the year of T. Kingfisher. She is so prolific. I must have read 4 new books by her this year. In an isolated desert town, a young woman seeking a fresh start is confronted by ancient gods, malevolent supernatural forces, and eccentric neighbors. When Selena travels to the remote desert town of Quartz Creek in search of her estranged Aunt Amelia, she is desperate and short of options. Fleeing an unhappy marriage, she has exactly $27 to her name, and her only friend in the world is her dog, Copper. On arrival, she learns her aunt is dead. But the inhabitants of Quartz Creek are only too happy to have a new resident. She sees no harm in staying in her aunt's lovely house for a few weeks. The people are odd but friendly and eager to help her settle into her new home. But Quartz Creek's inhabitants share their town with others, old gods and spirits whose claim to the land long predates their human neighbors. Selena finds herself pursued by disturbing apparitions, visitations that come in the night and seem to want something from her. Aunt Amelia owed a debt. Now her god has come to collect. Ooh, that one sounds really good. Definitely horror, but also I've seen it shelved as fantasy. We all know that the lines between these genres are very fine. I always try to put them in a genre for these previews, but I would consider myself to be a speculative fiction reader of all kinds. So there you have it, my preview of books coming out in November and December of 2025. And I will, of course, be back with another preview video for you in January to let you know about all the new books coming out next year. And I'm probably going to do a video where I preview all the new releases for the year that I am so excited about. Please leave me a comment and let me know the book that you are most excited about before the end of the year. Or if you think any of these books look good, let me know which ones you think you're interested in reading. And if you're feeling quiet, go ahead and leave me some kind of a space emoji, maybe a planet of some sort. And I hope that you all have a fantastic day. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.